Hello, hi, welcome to Me and I. Welcome to this Wednesday's episode of Me and I, and lovely to see you all back. And okay, for the new subscribers, who's today's first Me and I episode. Me and I is a web series where live streams every Wednesday, and the web series is looking at how your thoughts, words, and actions impact your happiness, your health, your career, and basically how you create your own reality. Today we have an interesting guest speaker. She's all the way from the US, from the state of Arizona, and she has to get up at 5 a.m. today to talk to you guys. So do ask her the questions, do engage with her, and we will be today's guest speaker is Kamala Avancha. She is the IT director of the Arizona State University. So you have someone who's a IT specialist living in the US and from the state of Arizona, from Arizona State University. Let's welcome Kamala.
Hello, everyone. Thank
That's
you,
a lovely looking Kamala. Okay. So you really look very nice, very beautiful, Kamala. Okay.
Thank you, also.
Thank you for getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning. We could have done a recording, but she wanted to be here live, interacting with y'all. So thank you very much for that. Hira says good morning to you. Divya says good morning, Miss Kamala. And a few others who are not saying anything. I'm sure they're thinking that. So Kamala, where do I even start? um, you are the IT director in Arizona State University, right? Yep. Okay. So this is Kamala in her graduation. Which graduation is this, Kamala?
This was my Arizona State University master's graduation. I did my master's in healthcare innovation. Actually, in fact, I graduated last year from my master's. So yeah, I started in October 2019, which was just a little before the COVID thing happened. And I finished it during the pandemic, actually.
So you have a full-time job of being an IT head in a university where during the pandemic IT is very popular, because before that, I mean, IT is always popular, but during the pandemic it's a lifeline because no one could go anywhere or do anything or contact anyone staying home, right? When they had to stay home, how was the time having how to say, your job became your department became a very important department, and then you also have you have to cope with that. Then you also have your masters going on, and you also have your family, right? So I'll introduce Kamala's family shortly, but how was coping all that, Kamala?
It was challenging at the beginning. So, because, when that pandemic happened, we had very short time to move everyone from, working in person to online. It wasn't a simple task, I would say, as everyone knows, it's not simple. We had only like a week or even less to actually set up everyone to be successful working remotely. Some of them even doing this remote work for the first time, probably. So we did our best. There were challenges. The beginning it was very challenging, but as we moved on, it became the norm of life. And like everything else, you start looking at the positive side of things, rather than the negative side. And when you do that, you suddenly realize, oh my God, I'm, saving about like an hour or two every day on the commute, which, I could use on work. Or things at home. I could in between my meetings, I could just go do my laundry and things like that, right? Cook. So things like that, you always try to look at the positive side of things, and when you do that, you feel definitely you will find the time to do things that you always wanted to do, and
And
so
I mean,
then the challenge is no longer a challenge.
yeah, many things happen in the pandemic. One of it is, if not for the last 2 years of me, forcing me to go and do things online, we wouldn't be having you as guest speaker today on Me and I. Because Me and I would be a live recording in a studio, and I wouldn't even think of getting someone from the US to be the guest speaker today. So that's it. So besides doing her masters, besides heading the the IT faculty, not the IT faculty, the IT department for the university, Kamala also has a family. She has a 12-year-old son. There was a lovely picture that of oh yes, this is a family. This is a husband and a son, and there's another picture of her son with a very beautiful background. Okay, this is Kamala's very charming son and very lovely background as well. So yes, so
Th-
she's
That was in Banff in Canada, and so
oh,
prior to
okay,
that,
okay,
he was actually Kasyap was actually 9 at that time, I guess. We went
okay,
to Banff, and that background is actually a real background. That's how it looks, very fantastic.
okay,
So it's
okay.
really, really
So that was
good.
on holiday.
Yeah, it was a vacation, yes.
Yes,
Um,
okay. Okay, that's very nice. How is it coping with family and work?
Um, so there are times, like everything else, when life happens, different things happen. I certainly am lucky to have my family who helps me a lot too. My husband, he is Dr. Kiran Avancha. He is uh, he is another busy person. He's in meetings most of the times. He has his own. He's an entrepreneur. He has his own company. He works full time too. So he's mostly my inspiration too. Like he has been from my childhood, honestly speaking. I know him from when I was a little kid. Actually, he did come, when I was born at the hospital, my mom says, right? He was just a little baby too at that time. So my mother-in-law brought him to visit us. So we kind of like knew each other. But he's been an inspiration all my life, I would say. He has a PhD in medicinal chemistry from USA, University of South Florida here. And always his mind, always works he's always thinking, always trying to innovate, always trying to look at things differently. So he definitely has been my inspiration, taught me how to look at things differently. And my teacher, my friend, my everything. And my
That's very
son,
nice.
he just turned 12 last week. He's another fascination. I learn from him every day too. It's not like only from my elders that I learn. You learn from the kids too. He knows more about the technology these days than I do, I guess. uh, um, but definitely if my whole day, if I'm tired, exhausted, I just come see his smile and give him a hug, everything's gone, right? And moms here can probably relate to that. You probably also definitely, right? So that's the wonderful thing about having that family around you. They're always supportive. My mom and dad, my sister, my sister's my best friend too, right from childhood. Anything and everything I share with her. So, and she's my younger sister too, and again, she gives me advice. You always tend to look at things from one perspective, but then if you want that somebody to say, okay, take a pause, just look at things in a different angle, and maybe you could have done it differently, try doing this way and things like that. That's my sister for me. You need that person in your life.
Okay, I was gonna ask I was gonna ask how you met your husband, but you answered that. But the thing that audience don't know is, Kamala, you're originally from India, right? And then you moved to the US. So, um, your sister is in the US, or your sister is in India?
My sister's in India. They're moving to Dubai soon. But she is in India currently. She has her family in Hyderabad too. So, and she has a son too. Maybe I should have shared their pictures as well, uh, but if
Okay.
you look at my nephew and my son look like they're like, siblings, like, totally exactly same features and all. So yeah, they're in Hyderabad right now.
Okay, so the audience, if you have any questions for Kamala, you can ask her, because if not, I'll just continue asking her questions. There's one question: has the pandemic made work-life balance easier for you?
I don't know if it's easier. I wouldn't say it easier, but a different kind of work-life balance. Work-life balance to me is not like a defined, this is what it is. It changes from time to time. Like, I'll give you an example. My son, like, when he used to go to elementary school, his school used to start at 9 in the morning. So, I needed that time in the morning to, get ready, get him ready and everything when he was little. And then I would go to work a little, like, about after dropping him off, like, 8:30ish. So, and then I wanted that flexibility in my work. Yeah, at that point in my life, I would call that work-life balance, because I need to be able to balance my everything, work and family and time. But when pandemic hit, it was all online, right? And I could start my work earlier, like before he woke up, even like 6:37 in the morning, or go on till later. But I used to, like break down my work into chunks, like I said, I could do some chores in between, like in between meetings, or had lunch. Like I used to cook every day during the pandemic, like in the morning breakfast, then lunch, then dinner, and different things, right? Everyone can relate to this. But if it was just now after the even now, actually from the last 1 year we've been going to work, and he's been going to school every day. So it's become like normal for us. So then one portion of that cooking has reduced, and then I use that time for something else, like my travel, or my commute to work, I mean, and things like that, right? So how do I adjust my time is what I call that, part of being that work-life balance. Now his school starts at 7:30 in the morning, so I drop him off early, I go to work early, then I pick him up early, and so that's how I balance things. And the pandemic actually, Hira, that's a great question. The pandemic actually helped me, because I saved time on the commute. I used to, I used that time to actually finish my master's sooner. So my master's I finished while working full time, taking care of family, everything in 1.5 years. So that to me was very helpful.
So, Kamala, if any one of them complain to me and saying they cannot manage their time, I will ask them to contact you.
Yes, definitely.
I'll ask them to
Yes.
speak to Kamala. Okay. Yes.
And I wasn't always like this. Let me tell you this. I wasn't like this. One, like I actually, when I graduated, I finished my electrical engineering in India, took up a job, then came to US. And when I did, like my father, he wanted me to get into post graduation too. I promised him I was taking work. Like I said, okay, I'll definitely finish my post graduation at some point in life. And it life happened, obviously, like I got married, I had a kid, and once you have a kid with a baby, it's not that simple too, like to get into college at that time. But somehow at that point my brain was telling me, no, you can't fail, you can't do this with with a busy life, don't overwhelm yourself. And you know how the brain is that judge in the all the time, right? You can't do this. So always thinking about the negativity.
Interesting you say this. The Me and I web series, many of the subscribers actually we're looking at following your heart versus what your mind is saying. So you're actually saying that exactly that. You continue, come. Yes.
So yeah, so at that point, like even till recently, like I said, in 2019, I've been thinking of doing this master's. Like I wanted to keep my promise for my dad that I promised him, right? and it got delayed and delayed and delayed, and it was eating up, like, me from the inside, like, when am I going to do this, right? If not now, I'm going to be old, and I don't know if I'll ever finish this. And then one day, I decided, okay, I'm going to apply no matter what, like, let's not push this any further. And then I applied. What's the worst, right? I may not be able to uh, cope up with the syllabus, or the time that I have. And I'm like, okay, if that's the case, I will be where I am. I'm not going to lose anything at that point in my life, right? So I applied, I got in, and here I am, finished, graduated last year. And that gave me the confidence to apply for my PhD. That was always my another dream. Like, it came from a silly reason. Like, you probably, all of you will laugh at me if I say this, but whenever we used to, like, go to events and such, with when I go to events with my husband, everyone would call, like, us Dr. and Mrs. Avancha. And I'm like, why does it have to be Dr. and Mrs. Avancha? Let me see if I can make it a Dr. and Dr. Avancha, right? So that's the silly thought that this whole PhD dream came from, and I applied and got in. I'm actually starting. I'm supposed to be starting this fall, but then again, this is me being me with the lessons I learned recently. Why not? When I have time, let's try to finish it. Start something earlier than later, right? Why not? Why wait till August when I can use the summertime to do a couple of courses? So I'm actually, starting those courses in summer.
What are you doing your PhD on, Kamala?
I'm actually in human systems engineering. So my research topic that I've always wanted to do, like, bring healthcare, which is my master's, and my engineering background and, technology background that I've been working for the last 20 years, bring them both together. So my topic is going to be how we can utilize AR and VR technology in medical schools and, medical education.
Very nice, very nice. We would like to hear more about it as you progress in it. Very nice, very much needed research paper as well. And all the best to you on that.
Thank you.
Audience, you can ask the questions. I think they're just nice, happily listening to your story, so they're not asking the questions. But I'll ask the question. How did you move up in your career? One
Um,
is, there is a lot of bias about women. There's a lot of bias about being from a foreign country and all, right? But what in the end, I feel, you need to earn the respect, you need to earn the credibility, and then only you'll move up. How did you do it?
First of all, I would say you need to have that inside you. You want to, you need to have that passion. I want to move up. And then what it does to you, at least what it did to me, was, if an opportunity comes knocking on your door, you don't say, no, that's not part of my job, I'm not going to take a look at it. But rather, I say, I'm going to learn something new. Start thinking about, like, how do I learn new things? It's life as we know, or the world as we know, keeps changing every day, right? I'm not stuck to what I know, or I'm not stuck to saying, okay, I know everything. I want to learn new things. My mother keeps saying this, like, she used to tell me, every single person that you meet has a skill set that you can learn from, right? So pick up the good, like that skill set from them, rather than, looking at the negative side of things. Even if they're bad to you, you can still learn something from them, right? So, that's what I try to do every day. Even I learn from my son, I learn from everybody that I meet. So yeah.
And managing people, I mean, doing your job as an individual contributor, you can just go there and just do your job really well. But when you move up, right, to a level of a director, you have a team, you like it and all, you have to work with people. How is it working with people? What's the challenges you have, and how do you manage that?
There's always challenges when you work with people, right? So first and foremost, I try to understand people, like, try to get to why they're saying something, put yourself in their shoes. That would definitely help. I know it may or may not be possible in every situation. Sometimes, no matter what you do, people may or may not like you, whatever, right? But at least, you should try to, come forward, try to understand why they're saying something, then look at the problem, and then try to solve it with them. Don't like make them like feel like how you want to be treated, like is how you treat them first, and then try to understand and then treat them the way they want to be treated, right? So I think this will resolve a lot of problems. That way of thinking would resolve a lot of problems.
During the pandemic, right? Was there any challenges?
Yes, definitely, because
Getting one story up of working with your team.
no, networking, right? Networking, like, before the pandemic, you just go get some water, or, you go to the food court to get food, lunch or something. You meet people, you talk to them. There's a lot of opportunity for networking before the pandemic. But when pandemic hit, then obviously everyone's working remotely, and there's Zoom session. No matter how much we love, there's always that Zoom fatigue, and you're still that formal. Oh, I don't want to be on video trying to say something. You never know. So that feeling of like whatever you talk when you're talking with a person in person, uh, that won't be there when you're remote. So that itself is like a challenge. Like, how do you build that trust?
Yes.
And I would tell you, like, when I got promoted, I got promoted a month before this pandemic hit,
Okay.
and so it was actually a challenge with how do I build that rapport with my team. Previously I was their peer at some point, and now I take over as a
And you have to
lead.
do it on Zoom because you can't meeting people personally has a different touch to it, especially when you want to handle feelings and emotions and their trust issues and all. Yes. So yeah, how did you do that?
So I had to build it through my one-on-ones and such, and build that trust. So I still hope, now that the pandemic is over, now it's all in person. We've been going to work in person from last summer, actually, and so things are different now. But that 1 year when we worked remotely, it was definitely a challenge. So I had to I scheduled weekly meetings, like to talk about how what each person is working on, so each other, like they all know what they're working on, and I would make announcements. So the frequency at which we met was more during the pandemic. At least that would give us that wrap, is what I thought. And I think I'm successful. Well, my team can tell you how it was.
I'm sure it was successful, and you're still there, and you're happily there. So yes, I'm sure it's been successful. And okay, so Lavanya has a question saying, "Do you miss India?" Yeah, I think it's been a long time since you've been US, right?
I've been in the US for the last 17 years, yes. I miss India. I do. But I have friends who are Indian here, and I talk to my parents, my family every day, pretty much. And luckily we have face to face, the FaceTime and Zoom and everything now, right? So uh, when I came to the US, it was mostly like phones, pretty much. So you wouldn't see them, you would be talking to them. At least I'm glad we had that. In my if it was my father's generation, they probably it would have been
Right.
even difficult with that, right? Writing letters and such. So I'm glad we're in this generation where now I can at least see my parents. So like I'm seeing you, if I just make a phone call, FaceTime call on my phone, I talk to my parents every day, my in-laws, and my sister, everybody, right? So I don't feel as much, but it definitely, that feeling of, oh, I wish I can go there, stay there longer, is there. But I try to visit India every year, stay there for 2 to 3 weeks at least, but that time is never enough. So yeah, every year, going there every year, helped me, go back, visit friends, family, everybody, and use that time wisely, right?
Why did you choose to move to the US or stay in the US?
That's a good question.
Since now I know you met your husband in India.
I actually came to the US for him, if you can
Okay.
believe. Um, yes, so I came here on my job actually, but I had the opportunity to be in India or in the US, and I chose US because I wanted to be closer to my husband. Um, and
So,
we're happily married, and here we are.
and I think after living in a country or a state or a city for a long time, the city becomes your home, right?
Yes.
And
So US is my home now. It's like, the analogy that I draw is in India, when a girl gets married off, she moves from her, parents' home to, to an in-laws place. So that's how, it worked out for me. India feels like my parents' home, and this feels like my married, home after marriage, right? So both are my home places. I love both India and US the same.
and uh, how is your son's been born there, right? So how is bringing up a child in the US?
Um, it's good in a way because, like I told you, I always try to look at things positively, right? So my son, is lucky to be here, know the US culture, but at the same time understand Indian culture, because at home, we follow the Indian culture. My husband and I, we talk in our mother tongue, which is Telugu, by the way. And my son understands it. I wish he can read the language, he can read everything, but he still has this feeling, and I don't want to push him further, but he thinks like, oh, I'm an American, like, so I'm trying to still like inculcate that, yes, you're an American, definitely you're an American, but you have Indian roots, so don't forget your roots, right?
So,
That's what
so
is the
many
lesson.
of the audience listening in today, including me, we are Malaysian. So most of us are Malaysian, but we have Indian origin. So it's not even our parents; it's more of our grandparents or great grandparents who are there. And yes, so we totally get where your son is coming from. Okay. We are tourists in India. Many of us don't have because it's been many generations, so we don't really have family in India as well. But we are culturally brought up, with the Indian way, and not so much as people in India would be, I would think, because we would have diluted it over time with the way we live, and not only Indian. In Malaysia, we have many. We have people. We are India. We have Indians from India, and we have Chinese from China, who's been here for many generations. So even our food is very multicultural. Okay, you will see a blend of it, Even our food, the way we dress, and our communication and all. It's a very multicultural country, small country.
That's the advantage of this whole globalization, right? So you get to see everything, you get to experience everything, and that's what we see in India and US today. Also, like, multicultural. Like, I want to go visit or taste, let's say, Italian food. I can go taste Italian today, Mexican tomorrow, Indian
Yeah,
one
yeah,
day.
yeah. I guess it's everywhere. Even in Malaysia, it's the same thing. So you're right. The place where I live, there's so many Korean restaurants and so many Japanese restaurants, but we are far away from Korea and Japan. So it's like yes, you are right in that. Okay, that's our time. Any questions? We are at the end of our time. One last question, Kamala. What's the message you would like to leave the audience with?
I would say follow your heart and understand your
Okay,
passion, right?
audience, I promise I did not ask her to say this. I did not ask her to say this. because this is the words that I usually use and say, I'll follow your heart, see what your heart wants to do, follow your passion. So it's like I did not ask her to say this, but sorry, continue, Kamala.
No, I was just like, understand what is it that you want to do, and engage. Ask for help. Don't hesitate to ask for help. If you have your family, friends, if you want to achieve your goals, engage them. Use their help, and but understand what is it that you want. Don't just follow something blindly. Because someone said that this career would be good, or this would be good for you. Understand how that fits into your life, how it would be beneficial for you. Is it your dream? Is it not? If it's your dream, do everything possible to make it happen. You will feel that accomplishment, believe me.
You mentioned follow your heart. Give us an example how you did, or why is that important?
um, because once you follow your heart, there's always that brain, like I said, trying to judge you most of the time, or trying to tell you, oh, this is not possible, you may not be, doubting yourself is only happening because of your brain, right? Your heart won't doubt if you would be able to do this or not. So once you in your heart, you want to do something, follow your heart, make sure you plan. You know, it might be small goals. Achieve what you want through small goals, and then make your brain believe what, like, I think it's Buddha who said this. Like, if you think you can become, right? If you think you want to become this, then you will become that definitely. So it's not just your heart. Try to get an alliance between your heart and brain at some point, and then you will be successful no matter what.
Thank you for sharing that. Very lovely. Thank you. Very inspiring talking to you. I hope you've inspired the audience as well, and motivated them to continue following their heart. And like Kamala said, get the support if you need the support. So thank you very much, Kamala. Thank you, the audience, for a lovely, lovely day today. And see you all again next Wednesday. Thank you, Kamala.
Thank you for having me, Valsala. It was wonderful talking to you and sharing my experiences, brought back my memories and everything. Thank you.
It is really wonderful that you took the time out to share the experiences with us, and I'm sure many of the audience could resonate with it, and it will be helpful for them in their journey. And we have now thank you coming in from the audience. Thank you.